Hey everyone, Ben here from Pixelportable, the home of portable gaming and travel gaming. In today's episode, we're going to talk about the London Gaming Mart that happens twice yearly. And the first one that happened this year, I was a seller. And this second one, I went as a customer. And I wanted to share with you how it was, but also kind of want to just show off the things that I bought, the goodies that I managed to find. And if you stick around until the very end, there's going to be some bonus footage where I try a ridiculous snack that James, friend of this channel, brought back to me from Japan. So I am both hesitant and excited for that. But without any more waffling, let's go have a look at London Gaming Mart, shall we, and see what I picked up. So I think the first thing to mention is that when you buy tickets for the London Gaming Mart, you will in fact be given a time slot in which you're able to go in and out of the event. The event starts at, I think, 10:30 a.m. I definitely remember that's when the doors opened when I was a seller. But because I was late getting the tickets, we arrived at the graveyard shift. Well, it's not really a graveyard shift, it's still manic. But we got the tickets for 1:30 in the afternoon. So that meant that me and Literal Human Vulture had a bit of free time to go wander around the area. If you're wondering where it's held in Russell Square, which is in central London. It's very easy to get to. And yeah, upon arrival, there was a bit of a queue and we got in and I was worried. Okay, I was worried. At 1:30, is there really going to be anything left? Like our store got hammered last time we were there, probably before 1:30, most of the stuff we had gone. So I was expecting to be a vulture alongside the literal human vulture as we picked through the carcasses of what was left of the video game retro market. One interesting thing though is that for me, most of the mainstream big hit games that most people want, luckily for me, either in Japanese or in English, I already own them. So I don't need to worry about going for things that are quite commonly picked and commonly bought. So that did give me a little bit of freedom because I knew that I wanted kind of obscure niche things. And you'll get to see some of those later. Here's some footage of the London Gaming Mart. And as you can see, rammed, very, very busy. Not as smelly as you might think it would be given that many people in a hot room. It wasn't too bad this time around. But yeah, there was lots and lots of stores. There were stores selling modded consoles. There was buckets and buckets of loose Game Boy Advance and Game Boy games that I did have a nose through. There was even one seller who had nothing. Well, he had lots of objects, but the thing that he specialized in was WonderSwan consoles and cartridges, so from Japan. And that was really cool to see because not a lot of people have a lot of love for WonderSwan, and it's a kind of neat console, so it was nice to see that. If you're a PS2 collector, you need to go to these events. There is so much content for PS2 that if that's your thing, definitely try and get to one of these London Game Marts because it's just flooded with PS2 content. I have most of the things I want, so it's not a big deal for me. But yeah, if you're into collecting that or you're trying to make a complete collection, you should definitely check it out. Game Boy here, modded Game Boy with all this original accessories. That was kind of neat. And we even bumped into James, friend of the channel. You may have seen there's been 2 videos with James in. One was where we visited his shop, and one is the infamous unboxing video I did with James. Link to that will be above, and the link to the shop video will be in the description. Go check it out if you're interested in seeing what James's new store looks like in Dartford, and if that has the kind of things you might want to go visit and purchase. Make sure to say Pixelportable sent you. Here you can see an absolute sea of boxed Game Boy Color games and a few DS games as well. This guy, he was here last time that I was, it was when I was selling, and I did spend a long time looking for his stall. I really wanted a copy of Advance Wars Dual Strike in English, because I don't have a boxed one in English. I have a boxed one in Japanese and I have the loose cartridge somewhere in English. So yeah, I would really like a boxed one. Loads and loads and loads of people still modding Game Boy Advances, Game Boy Colors, and selling them for a markup. That's fine. If you're really into that, then there's plenty of that there for you. I saw this fantastic Jaguar with a CD attachment. The seller said it looked a bit like a toilet seat, so he ejected it to show us how it looked like a toilet seat, and he's kind of right, it does look like a toilet seat, which is a little bit apt for a Jaguar, I guess, since it was a bit of a bad console. I kind of liked it. Nice thing to be able to do. There was this stall here, like you see, of all the modded Game Boy Advances. They look beautiful all turned on, don't they? It's like a Christmas world's most expensive Christmas decorations. You just have a string of lit Game Boy Advance screens adorning your room. But this guy had something that I have never seen in person, and that was the Sega Nomad. Here's a little bit of footage of the Sega Nomad here. And that is something you don't see every day. Almost bought a game for a console I don't own. And it's a game that came with a little D&D style map and a figurine, and it's a fantasy roleplay game for the Sega Mark III. Finding a Sega Mark III in the UK is not easy, and they're very expensive, so I'm not sure if I'm going to pull the trigger on getting one of those consoles. But I did almost get the game because I love games with stuff in them, and you're going to find out that that's a thing that's going to be on this channel soon. Games with stuff in. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Future content on its way. There was cute little crocheted items, cute little plushies and things like that still, gaming apparel. But there was something incredible that I did see. Something that I'm never going to own. And that was the limited edition green and gold Neotones, Aussie, Australian cricket themed, I believe. Game Boy Color. I've got footage of it here. They wanted £449 for it, which is a completely fair price, but not one that I could afford. And it was boxed Aussie Game Boy Color. Something that I never thought I was going to see in person unless I visited someone's private collection. And then, of course, there was a whole array of consoles, games, ranging from almost everything. There was a lack of Amiga stuff that made me kind of sad. I kind of like the Amiga. However, as you probably saw in the opening footage, I was wearing this hat. And this hat is a Chuck Rock hat that I got from Etsy. A place called Hattie Hats. Very cool place, you should check them out. But Chuck Rock, pretty obscure game that I played on the Amiga. I was expecting maybe, at best, one person to even recognize it, let alone comment on it. And I had 3 separate conversations with people where they were like, whoa, I didn't realize there was Chuck Rock merch. Which there isn't, of course. Another person being like, yeah, Chuck Rock was a sick game. And then we talked about the obsession that the 90s had with making games with babies in and films with babies in, because Chuck Rock 2, Son of Chuck, was where you play as Chuck Rock's son, who is a baby. It's quite silly. Yeah, that was a little side tangent. I wore the Chuck Rock hat. People noticed it, and that was kind of cool. And with that, I suppose you'd like to see the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items that I bought, and lastly the item that James supplied to me to try, and I said I'd try on camera.
Pixel.
So here we are. We have all this stuff here to go through, and I'm now going to do that. One of the first things we're going to show off here is something kind of amusing. It's Sega Bass Fishing for the Dreamcast. So the story behind this game, and the reason why I purchased it, is because on the Sega Saturn I had a demo disc for Sega Sea Bass Fishing, and I used to play that a lot as a kid, and I never had the full game. And I figured, since I'm getting a Dreamcast soon off one of my friends, I'm going to finally play Sega Bass Fishing Fish. And I bought that for £10. I don't even know what the value is. The way I worked out was, would I pay £10 for Sega Bass Fishing? My answer was yes, so I bought it. A second game that I purchased, and it was the Wii copy of House of the Dead 2 and 3 Return. Now, the reason that I wanted this is because I own a Sega light gun, my Sega Saturn. This is actually my Sega light gun from when I was a kid, and played House of the Dead on this religiously back in the day. However, if you know anything about light guns, they're not very easy to use on a LCD screen. In fact, without modifications or any adjustments, you cannot play the old light guns on a LCD TV. However, the remake of House of the Dead uses the Wii remote, and the way that works as the gun. And you get a little gun attachment that you put the Wii remote in and you point at the screen and you can shoot. And it is the closest I'm going to get if I want to play in the living room on a nice big TV. I can play House of the Dead 2, which is my favorite House of the Dead game, and House of the Dead 3, whenever I want, for £6. £6. Wii games are cheap. Now we're getting into some of the more interesting things. You will be forgiven for having never heard of this game. Frog. Frog is a NES game, and this has a story for me. There were 2 copies. Someone was selling a boxed mint condition one with a manual for £55. I found one with no manual for £26. I'm in this not for the collection, I'm in this to play the game, so the lack of manual does not make me sad. I'm fine with that. But Trog is a game a little bit like Bomberman, where you have multiple players and you're all competing against each other. I think it was 4-player. All competing against each other to be the winner, and I really wanted to play this game again. Now, the fun story with this game is I used to go around a friend's house many years ago when I was very small. I'm talking like I was probably 6 or 7, and they had this game on their Nintendo, and I would often play it with the girls and the boy that lived there, and we would play Trog a lot. And in fact, I was always insistent to play Trog. I really liked Trog as a kid. Fast forward many years later, I visited that house again. I was in the area and I wanted to say hi to the parents that used to, look after me back then. And the dad came down the stairs and he was like, "Hey, I remember that you were really obsessed with Trog, so here you go." And he gave me the cartridge for Trog. Actually, I think he gave me the box as well. I have no idea where I put it. I put it somewhere in storage, and for the last few years I haven't been able to find it. So I'm writing it off as vanished, and I've got a replacement now, which brings back good memories. And it's actually a really cool game. So yeah, very excited for that. This is a Turbophile GB. Now I know there is a Turbophile for the SNES, and I think how it works is you can write save files from games onto this and then put them onto something else. I think that's how it works. I think it's a save file adjuster. I'm going to take this out of the wrapping. There was no need to open the other ones up, but this one could be interesting. So let's have a look inside, shall we? I didn't want to rip there. There we go. Inside the Turbophile GX, we have a classically Japanese little thing about it. So it needs batteries by the looks of it, AA's. And it tells you a little bit about it. And I'm sure this is the instructions. Looks like it's hooking up to a Game Boy Color in that picture, which is cool. Quite like the little artwork there. Turbophile GB. Wow, that feels like it's never been used. That's in really nice condition, isn't it? And here is the Turbophile GB. Wow, that's really nice. This is where the batteries go in. How are the terminals? No corrosion in there. They've never seen the light of day. I don't think this has ever been used. I'm definitely going to use it. I think the protect on and off is probably read and write on and off, and then turning it on. And there we have it, Turbophile GB. Another one of the little oddity accessories for a Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Light. Not Advance, sorry. This is for the Game Boy Pocket, the Game Boy Light, and the Game Boy Color. I still don't own the Game Boy Light. I did see one though, however, at the London Gaming Mart for £120. It's a bit beat up, but if I'd had the budget, I probably would have got it. Last, but by no means least, is this. Shout out to Sore Thumbs Retro Games. They had a nice big store there, and they had a lot of import stuff in, and they had something that caught my eye, which is this. I love games that come with other things, and I'm going to be doing a mini series called Box Plus, where I look at all of the weird things I have, like that were not just a game in a manual, and some of the differences, because there are differences to different regions. A lot of the Japanese stuff came with things that we never got over here in the UK. And I think that's interesting, so I'm going to make a little mini series on those. Let me know in the comments if you think that's a terrible idea and you don't want me to do it. I paid £35 for this. It may be steep, it may not. But here is the metric that I used picking this up. When I went to Japan back in 2022, end of 2022, and I was there for 6 months, and I traveled from as south as Okinawa all the way up as north as Abashiri in Hokkaido. I hit hundreds of hard offs. And that's not even an exaggeration, hundreds. I was hitting between 2 and 3, sometimes even 4 or 5 a day for those 6 months. And I never once saw one of these in a hard off, or a book off, or a hobby off. So when I saw it, for a moment I was going to do the whole, oh, I'll walk around and come back. And I was like, no, if this goes, you have not seen this anywhere else and you need to get it now. So I got it. And it has a lot going on. It looks like there's some sort of toy attachment for a Game Boy Advance, a toy. This looks like said toy. And then a game, I guess. And then on the side here, we have different models. I initially thought this was Digimon, but now that I look at it, it is not. But I don't know what it is. It's something I'm going to research at the end of this. Play. So let's open it up. Let's have a look at what a CIB one of these is. Oh, it does come with a little attachment for the Game Boy Advance. So inside we have all of this. That's an empty box now. Game. The game looks like this. Now I probably saw the game without even realizing. And that game's going to come with a manual. The manual's in there. I'm going to do a proper detailed review of this on the Box Plus. It won't be the first video because you've just seen this. I want to bore you with something you've seen. And this is the cool attachment. There we go. And this attaches to the Game Boy Advance on the top here. And my guess is this is a bit like an amiibo, maybe? Although this is just plastic. So this can't be an amiibo. I'm not entirely sure on the purpose. I don't know. Oops, sorry. You're not on camera, but yeah. The little toy comes off the stand, goes in here, and this attaches to the Game Boy Advance. I'm not sure how any of that works. We will do a detailed video of that later date in Box Plus. So keep your eyes peeled for the Box Plus stuff. Make sure to hit that subscribe and like if you are interested in seeing those things, and if it's worth your time. If it's not worth your time, don't do it. You should respect your time. I respect your time. And then we put all this back in. So there we go. The game that I don't know the name of with its extra toy. This is the best thing that I got from that event. That is from an interest perspective for me. And they are the items that I got. So now I suppose we need to go to the bonus footage. This angle's a bit weird, as you can see. We're on a tripod in the studio. Ooh. And I'm doing this because this is just extra footage, and thought it would be funnier from up close. You would get all of my lighting is all over the place now, but it's fine. You'll get all of my reactions to this. This is what James brought me back. Rich cheese jelly. Yep, that is a sentence. Rich cheese jelly. It comes in my favorite bag shape of a snack that you can get in Japan called Cheezer. I really like those. And when I saw this bag, I was really excited. And then James passed it to me and I was like, I'm not sure if I'm as excited as I was beforehand.
What have you done to me, James?
That's what I'm gonna do.
It's the threat. It's the implication.
But we'll see. So I'm going to do a little quick taste test of the rich cheese jelly. A little bonus footage for you. Oh, I hope this isn't awful. I'm not worried about it being awful. I'm worried about it being nice. You know, it shouldn't be nice. But I'm going to give you a description of this as I open it. That's a smell. It's like strong cheese and a milk sweet mixed together. Have you ever tried those milk sweets like Milka? Milkus? Not Milkus. What are they called? Milka. I think they were called Milka. They were like little gummy milk sweets shaped like a milk bottle. I can't remember what they're called. Let me know in the comments below if you can remember what they're called, so that I can reminisce over old sweets. But this smells odd. Let's get one out. Oh, they feel weird. There you go. I don't think you can see it very well. There you go. Little cheese, squishy. Kind of holds its shape a little bit. Cheese jelly. I'm just going to do it. It's sweet. Why is it sweet? Why is it sweet? It's sweet cheese and milk. It tastes a bit sour almost. I'll try another one. They smell like really good strong cheese, but they do not taste of really good strong cheese. Yeah, this is straddling some weird territory. It's sour, it's sweet, and it's not very cheesy. Oh, these are odd. Cheese shouldn't be sweet. These are odd. They're growing on me, but they're not cheese jelly. They're not cheese jelly. Based on them being called cheese jelly, they're a 3 out of 10. Based on being a very, very strange sour sweet snack, 6 out of 10. So don't come to this for the cheese. Come to this for the gone off milk with sugar in. And that's all of my items. As you can see, there were some good picks there. I'm really, really happy with the Game Boy Advance game, and very happy with Trog for the story that I told you. And the other things are very interesting too. But I want to know, did you ever go to the London Gaming Mart, or are you planning to go to London Gaming Mart? And if so, what did you get? Let me know in the comments below. And lastly, thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate that you've stuck around until now. It means a lot to me. Make sure to hit that subscribe and that like and all that stuff if you like the content, if you want to see more of it. Obviously, there's no pressure. Do what you want. I'm not your dad. And with that, I'll see you on the next one, and I'll see you pretty soon. So, goodbye. And thanks for watching.
When we go into the shops, spending money till you drop, and I'm having a great time. Convince me to spend some more.